Ladies and gentlemen, rejection is a word that carries weight. It stings, it wounds, it can even shake a man to his core. But I want to tell you something today. Rejection is not the final word. You see, life has a way of turning things around. Just when you think someone is gone for good, they return. Just when you've counted yourself out, something changes. And often when a woman rejects a man, she may later come back. But why? Today I want to share with you 7 reasons why women come back after they reject you. Rejection is one of the most painful experiences a person can go through. But I want you to understand today that it is not the end. It is not a death sentence to your confidence, your worth, or your future. Rejection is often nothing more than a setup for something greater. You see, in the moment when someone walks away, when someone tells you no, when you feel like you've lost something valuable, it's easy to believe that you're not enough. It's easy to think that if only you had done things differently, if only you had been more this or less that, maybe things would have turned out another way. But I want to remind you today that rejection is not always about you being unworthy. Sometimes it's about God repositioning you for something better. Think about all the great people in history who faced rejection. Abraham Lincoln lost multiple elections before becoming one of the greatest presidents of the United States. Thomas Edison failed over 1,000 times before inventing the light bulb. Even in the Bible, we see Joseph, rejected by his own brothers, thrown into a pit, sold into slavery, falsely accused and thrown into prison. But what happened in the end? He became second in command over all of Egypt. What looked like rejection was actually God setting him up for something greater. The same is true for you. A woman rejecting you does not mean you are unworthy of love or that you will never find the right person. It simply means that at this moment there's something else you are supposed to focus on. Maybe it's your personal growth. Maybe it's your purpose. Maybe it's your spiritual walk. And maybe, just maybe, what feels like rejection now is actually God's way of saying, not yet. One of the worst things you can do after rejection is to wallow in self-pity. Too many men waste months, sometimes even years, trying to figure out what went wrong, trying to change themselves just to please someone who already walked away. But let me tell you something. A man of purpose does not chase after people who reject him. He understands that rejection is just redirection. He does not lose sleep over those who do not see his worth, because he knows that the right people, the people meant for him, will recognize his value without him having to prove it. Instead of focusing on the rejection, focus on what God is doing in your life. Every rejection you face is an opportunity to grow. Maybe that woman walked away because you needed to become stronger, more confident, more grounded in your purpose. Maybe she wasn't the right one for you, and God was protecting you from heartbreak down the road. Maybe he has someone better in store for you, someone who will love, respect, and appreciate you in ways you never imagined. The truth is, rejection is a test. It tests your faith, your resilience, your ability to stand firm in who you are. Will you let it break you, or will you let it make you? Will you allow one person's opinion to define your worth, or will you understand that your value is far greater than what any one person can see? So the next time you face rejection, instead of asking, why me, ask, what is God teaching me through this? Instead of seeing it as the end, see it as a new beginning. Because when you trust in God's plan, when you walk in faith, when you focus on becoming the best version of yourself, rejection will no longer be something you fear. It will be something you embrace, knowing that every closed door is simply making room for the right one to open. Rejection is not the end. It is just the beginning of something greater. There is something powerful about change. The world we live in is not static. Everything is moving, growing, evolving. Just as the seasons shift from winter to spring, so do people. The person you were yesterday is not the person you are today, and the person you will be tomorrow is shaped by the lessons, experiences, and trials you go through. That is why rejection is never the final word, because a changed heart can change the story. Think about it. How many times in life have you looked back at something you once believed, only to realize that you see it differently now? The things we desire, the things we value, the way we perceive others, all of these things are shaped by time and growth. A woman who once walked away, who once rejected you, may one day see you in a different light. Not because you chased her, not because you begged her to reconsider, but because the change happened. Maybe she changed. Maybe you changed. Maybe circumstances changed. This is why a man must never take rejection personally, as if it is a final judgment of his worth. It is not. It is merely a reflection of that moment in time. When a woman says, "I don't see a future with you," what she really means is, "I don't see it right now." But life has a way of reshaping perspectives. A woman who once dismissed you may later realize that she overlooked something valuable. Maybe she didn't appreciate your kindness before, but after experiencing the coldness of others, she now sees it as rare and beautiful. Maybe she once thought she wanted someone different, but after walking that road, she realizes that what she truly desires was in front of her all along. But here's the key. You don't wait for her to change. You don't stand still hoping and praying that one day she will come back. No, you move forward. You focus on your growth. You become stronger in your faith, your purpose, and your confidence. And when you do, something remarkable happens. You change too. You begin to see the situation differently. Maybe at one time you thought she was the only one for you, but as you grow, as you develop into the man God created you to be, you start to realize that there are greater things ahead, whether she returns or not. And here is the truth. When you stop chasing, when you stop waiting, when you start living, that's when people take notice. That's when a woman who once rejected you begins to wonder what changed. She may start to see qualities in you that she never recognized before. The confidence, the strength, the purpose-driven life you now embody. It makes her rethink her decision. And whether she comes back or not, it no longer matters to you because you have already won. You have become a man who is not defined by another person's approval, but by your own growth and by God's plan for your life. So, never underestimate the power of a changed heart. It can change the way people see you. It can change the way you see yourself. And most importantly, it can change the story you thought was already written. Keep growing, keep becoming, and trust that what is meant for you will always find its way back in due time. There is a time for everything under heaven, a time to plant and a time to harvest, a time to build and a time to rebuild, a time to wait and a time to move. And the greatest truth that we often forget in moments of rejection, disappointment, or delay is that God's timing is always right. As human beings, we are impatient by nature. When we want something, we want it now. When we pray for something, we expect immediate answers. When we pursue a relationship and feel a strong connection, we believe it should work out on our timeline. But God does not operate on human schedules. His ways are higher than our ways. His understanding is deeper than our own, and his timing is always perfect, even when we don't understand it in the moment. Maybe you experienced rejection from someone you deeply cared about. Maybe you thought she was the one, that everything aligned, that the timing felt right to you, and yet for some reason she walked away. She didn't see what you saw. She wasn't ready. Or maybe it wasn't even her decision. Maybe circumstances, distance, or life itself forced things apart. At that moment, it's easy to ask, why, God? Why would you put this person in my life only to take her away? Why would you allow me to feel this connection only to have it broken? But what if God's answer isn't rejection, it's redirection? What if what you see as a painful delay is actually divine protection? So many times in life, we beg for things that we are not yet ready for. We chase after relationships before we've fully grown into the men we need to be. We want commitments from people who are not prepared to give them. But God sees what we cannot. He knows what lies ahead. He knows that if you were to receive that relationship at the wrong time, it could break you instead of build you. It could distract you from your purpose instead of aligning with it. It could bring more pain than joy. And because he loves you, he withholds what is not yet meant to be. But here's the beauty of God's timing. When something is meant for you, nothing in this world can take it away. When the time is right, everything will align effortlessly. You won't have to force it. You won't have to beg for it. You won't have to convince someone to see your worth. It will just be. And sometimes what seemed like a final rejection was just a delay. Sometimes God has to work on both hearts separately before bringing two people back together. Maybe she wasn't ready before, and neither were you. Maybe time apart was necessary for both of you to grow. Maybe he allowed that rejection so that you could focus on your purpose, your mission, your growth as a man. And when the time is right, when you have stepped into the fullness of who you are meant to be, she may return, not because you waited for her, but because God's plan is unfolding exactly as it should. But whether she comes back or not, one truth remains. God's timing is perfect. If she is not meant for you, then there is someone greater ahead, someone who will fit into the life God is preparing for you. So do not rush. Do not question his plan. Do not chase what is not meant for you. Instead, trust. Trust that every closed door is leading you to the right one. Trust that every delay has a purpose. Trust that one day when you look back, you will see that everything happened exactly as it was meant to, and you wouldn't change a thing. Because when you surrender to God's timing, you stop worrying about when things will happen and start living with the confidence that they will happen exactly when they are supposed to. Rejection is not the end. It is not a sign of your unworthiness or a verdict on your future. It is simply a moment in time, a chapter in your story, not the whole book. Whether a woman walked away, whether circumstances forced things apart, or whether things didn't unfold the way you expected, none of it defines your destiny. What truly matters is how you respond. Will you let rejection break you, or will you allow it to shape you into a stronger, wiser, more confident man? Will you chase after what walked away, or will you trust that what is meant for you will find its way back in due time? Because the truth is, a changed heart can change the story. People grow, perspectives shift, and sometimes what was once overlooked is later recognized as valuable. But the key is that you don't wait around for it. You don't put your life on hold hoping someone will realize your worth. Instead, you focus on your growth, your purpose, your mission. You become the man God created you to be, knowing that the right people will see your value without you having to prove it. And above all, trust in God's timing. He knows what you need when you need it, and who is meant to walk alongside you. If something is removed from your life, it is because he has something greater in store. If a door closes, it is because another, far better door is waiting to be opened. So, stand firm, walk with confidence, keep becoming, keep growing, and never settle for less.